So I started off really enthusiastic about this job. I bought a new clutch along with some brand new oil from the dealer that was cost an absolute fortune, thinking this was going to be an easy and quick job. It turned out that every part of this car had to come off just to get to the gearbox, starting with the exhaust. The prop shaft was an absolute nightmare to get to, buried under all the covers and heat shields. The Roby impact wrench just wasn't cutting it for me, and I really struggled all the way through this with that. Dropping the oil wasn't too bad. I think that was the easiest part of it all. But in the end I had to give up and buy a new Makita impact wrench, which absolutely blasted through everything, and I think this was the turning point for the whole rebuild, because this was an absolute beast. I finally managed to get the prop shaft out after rounding off a few bolts. It took a couple of days, but I managed to get it out in the end. Then quickly realised that the subframe was in the way, and we had to drop the subframe out of the way, which was a bit of a ball ache, but better now that it was out of the way because it gave us so much more room to work with. Then we was finally working on the top end of the engine, disconnecting all the pipes and everything else needed to get to the bolts. What made this job slightly harder is the Audi S1 sump is plastic, so you can't use a jack underneath to support the engine, so we had to use an engine brace and use a jack then to lower down the gearbox. This was a twitchy arse moment, trying to get it down just on my own on Axel stands. Now, very dangerous, but I managed to do it, although the gearbox was very heavy. Now this leads us nicely on to episode 2, where we take a look and inspect the clutch plate, make sure everything's okay, and start putting it all back together. I thought taking it all out was hard. I think this is going to be a challenge all on its own. Welcome back. So first things first, we're going to start cleaning up the gearbox and start fitting some new parts. They're around here somewhere, but the gearbox is on the floor there, and we're just going to give it a good clean up. Now it's time to fit the new thrust bearing. I'm just doing a quick check to make sure they do look the same and I'm not fitting something totally different. Definitely an improvement. Now when fitting this thrust bearing, you want to make sure it all lines up nice and tidy, and when you're putting the bolts back in, you want to just put them in one at a time, and then don't do them up all the way, but just do one and stagger them. Just make sure all three are hand tight before doing them up completely, and there's no cross threading of the bolts. That's all I've done now, is added a bit of rubber grease to the spline and just around the threads where the bolts go back in, just to help. Right, there's the clutch plate. It's these star fittings again, so it's one of them, and it's an awkward size. It's a 9mm. A lot of burn marks on there. I hope this is okay. So that's the old clutch. You can see that it's very worn. You can see that. So let's compare with the new one. So as you can clearly see, that's the difference between the two. In fact, it's the same clutch. So that is what the manufacturers use. As you quite clearly see, it's a big massive difference. So hopefully the new one will go on okay. got to make sure it does say on this one gearbox side, so that will go that way. You've got to really make sure that you put it on the right way. And I've got a tool. Right, my tool is on, it's all centered, so, and it's the right way round. I've cleaned it all, so it's ready to go on now. I have give the face of that a bit of a clean down. I'll just give it a slight little rub down with a fine sandpaper. Now we've got dowels on this that should line up in these holes. Looking at these bolts, they're 30 Newton meters. So the clutch is all in, it's all ready to go, it's all torqued down. The slave cylinder has all been done. So it's literally put it all back in, and this is going to be the hard part now. I say that, it's all been hard in its own way, but I think the hardest part is marrying the splines back up. I think that is difficult at the best of times. So I'm going to try and get this gearbox in position and get it back in. Woohoo! The gearbox is more or less back in. That was an absolute nightmare to try and put back in. It's still not done up all the way. I've just got to go back around now and do all the bolts up, but it's in position. I had to wrestle with that, but it's in now, so I'm just gonna bolt these up. Right, I've gone ahead and done a few things off camera. The starter motor is all in place, it's all tightened up, all plugged in. All the wires are plugged in at the bottom. All the bolts are done up all the way around, and I've also put this on, but I haven't connected this bit just yet. I'm well happy with the way it's going. It's going together better than what I thought. So I've just got a few bits to put back on for the gear selector. And we just got to put these little clips back in. Right, I've got this bracket that holds transfer box to the engine, so I'm going to fit that next, so that's out the way. What I would say is, before you start this job, I would say take the subframe down first, then you'll have access to the exhaust and then the prop shaft. You can get to it easier. So if you are going to do this job, take the subframe down first, out of the way. This will probably be the last thing to go back on, so I can put the exhaust on, a prop shaft on, all with plenty of room. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bleed the clutch. So to do that, I'm going to need to undo this nipple here and just get all the air bubbles out by pressing the clutch. I'm going to get my boy to give me an hand with that one, so he probably won't want to be on the camera. Right, that clutch is all bled, it's all working, nice and tidy. To be honest, that clutch is really, I think one of the complaints with this particular clutch system is the clutch is a bit hard, and I've just, well, my son has helped bleed it, but when I've just pressed it now, it is quite on the hard side, so, but it is a race car, so you're going to have, hopefully, a nice response from the clutch. Fingers crossed there's no issues now, so we just got to put all the wiring back. We're nearly there, so I'm well happy, well chuffed. Okay, that's ready for the airbox, but we're not going to put that on yet because I'm going to need the room. Right, I'm going to be putting this prop shaft back in. There isn't literally no room to show how this goes back in, but I just got to take my time. I appreciate you probably can't see a lot, but I just wanted to show you. Right, that's my bracket. It basically bolts around the prop shaft, and then I can use a slide hammer then just to knock it back in. It does marry up. So a slide hammer now, and that will just slowly push on. That's as far as it'll go by hand. So that's why you need a clamp. It's braced in the middle and it's braced down the bottom. So that's all I've got to do is just get an angle on it and then hit it home with my slide hammer there. That worked a treat. That's right up where it needs to be. Well happy with that. That will line up there. Now I can take this off. But this clamp, this is a security bracket for the ground for a motorcycle. So I had two of them and a bit of that is matting to stop a carpet from slipping. So I used that as a bit of grip, not to damage the pipe. Happy days. I went on a treat. Right, with this part that goes on the back transfer box, I've got 3 of each new bolts. There's 2 different types. It's that one and a standard one. They recommend to be replaced anyway, but the ones that I took out I damaged, and they were so tight that I rounded them off, so I managed to get them out, but it wasn't fun, I could tell you. So we got new ones to go in, so it's just a case of lining it all back up and putting it in. Right, I have done loads off camera. The exhaust is all back in. It's all buttoned up. It's all nice and tidy under there now. All the wires are back in. So I don't know whether you can see. Right, the exhaust is all back up to that point. The subframe is the last thing to go up, but it's held on with that bracket back there. The prop shaft is all in. If you look, see my markings, all with new bolts. It's all gone back in exactly the way it came out, so I'm well happy with that. So each shield's back in, and to cover the prop shaft, it's all back in up here. Just got to put the exhaust on, but I'll leave that to last. Exhaust brackets all on. The next step now is to put some gearbox oil in the gearbox, and that's where we emptied it there. So that's the fill point. We're just gonna pump away until it's full. It'll be in a while, I think. There's one done. Time for another one. Right, so it's just started to drip out there, and we used that much more. So it's, when I pour it back in the bottle, I'll have a look. So we've used 2.5 litres, so that's not bad. That's probably not far off what it's supposed to take. Once I take the car, or hopefully for a ride just around the street, just to make sure everything works, fingers crossed, I will get it back in and I will check the level of that gearbox oil, because at the time you mix it around, it might have found a different level, and it might need a little bit more topping up, because the engine is sloping down slightly, so it's going to run out. I just want to make sure it has the correct amount of gearbox oil. I'm just going to try and tidy up as much as I can, because it's just tools and bits of S1 everywhere. I need to work out what's left to put back on and go from there, because it is dangerous working in an environment where you've got bits everywhere, because you could quite easily slip and fall, or fall over and scratch a car or anything. So I'm going to give it a good sort now, tidy everything up, everything back on the shelves for now. And well, it is 7:45 in the night, so I'll probably leave it there for now, and then I'll come back again then when we're ready to put the subframe in next. I bought a bunch of these clips, they're the proper ones to put around there. It's coming along nicely now. There's very little parts left to put back on. We got all the back box to put on, but I'm not too bothered about that just yet, because I want to turn the car around, hopefully it'll move, and do it this way so we can put the exhaust on tidy. Got the battery to put on, but it's all done. All the drive shafts all done, everything is ready to go. We just got to put the wheels on both sides, and we just got to put the exhaust brackets on and the under trays, but that is not yet. And we've also got to put this wheel arch liner in and the airbox. so can't wait to test this car to see if it actually moves. So we're nearly there. I just want to put that arch liner in for now. We've got a gearbox mounting to put in, and I think we're almost done then. I'm not going to put the exhaust on until I can get the car in this way so I can work on the back, but that's not stopping us taking it out to make sure it goes through all the gears. Right, the arch liner's on. I've just put the gearbox mounting on. That's all back up. I think everything is back more or less, apart from the back box. So all I've got left over are these couple of bolts, and that's for the exhaust. Right, I think it's time to lower it down off the axle stands for the first time in ages. Oh, I hope this works. It's actually going to be driving up the garage. I hope so. Let's get a jack underneath there and lower it down. I am so glad to see it back down on four wheels. There's still a little bit more work left to be done on this car, but we've got the big bulk of it done. Let's start it up and see if she moves. So I'm so hoping I've done this. Oh, here it goes. This is really loud. That's a good sign. I gotta dip the clutch for it to start. Oh my god, that clutch is really, really tight. That clutch is gonna need a bit more bleed in, I think. Right, we've got all the gears. Let's see if it goes. Let's try it then. Hey, move in. Hey. Oh, that biting point is not quite right. I think it needs bleeding because it's right, the biting point's like about that far from the bottom of the floor. So that's a hell of a clutch. I think it just needs a bit more bleeding in the clutch, and I think we'll rectify that problem. I'm just going to take it up there now and see if it goes through the gears. Come on, let's try it. Here it goes. nice and tight now. Third, fourth. Let's hope it goes into fifth and sixth. That is a massive achievement for me. I have saved at least £1,000 by trying to do that myself. I don't think anyone could just do that on axle stands. I'm so chuffed for myself, and it drives amazing. Every gear works perfect. The biting point, now I've got used to it, is perfect, and boy, that is fast. Now it's actually getting the full torque from that clutch all to the wheels. It is absolutely flying. What an absolute animal of a car. I'm going to enjoy this for a little bit longer before I get rid of it. We got a few more bits to do. Obviously we've got to put the exhaust on. But do you know what? I can actually sleep tonight knowing that I've fixed the clutch on this car. An absolute mission, and I've done it on axle stands. Do you know what? Give myself a pat on the back for that. I hope you enjoyed that episode, because I certainly didn't, but I am well happy now, and we're well on our way, and I'm hoping now the clutch is done, cleaning it up, this is gonna sell. It deserves, I think, to be honest, I think it's one of the nicest looking ones out there, and probably, I like the colour, and someone's gonna have an absolute cracking little car, and all the major problems have been sorted. What more can I say? Well happy. So I just want to say thank you all for subscribing. We've hit 10,000 subscribers, which is an absolute huge milestone. I'm well happy. We will be giving that top on away once I've sorted this Audi out, and I want to get that in the garage. I want to sort the garage out, sort this out, and once this is sorted, I'm going to be giving away that top on. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it. Don't forget to follow me on reviving_salvage on Instagram as well, guys, for sneak peeks of what I get up to on a daily basis. Until then, I'll catch you all in a bit.